Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Media Tsunami. Today I wanted to talk about some Christmas traditions that I have, that I try to do every year to really put me in the mood and the spirit of Christmas, because this is like, it's got to be my favorite time of the year. I'm the kind of guy who listens to Christmas music pretty much whenever the mood strikes me at any time of the year, but as soon as Halloween passes, that's pretty much all I'm listening to is Christmas music. I would almost say that maybe my music library has more Christmas music in it than anything else. And that's the first tradition that I want to look at today, is the Christmas music. So over here you can see I have a few vinyl records out, because while I don't, and these are pretty much all, well no, that's not all that I have. In fact, this Disco Noel one I found along with a few others at Goodwill, and an especially unusual one, I thought anyway, was a Cabbage Patch Christmas one, and I'm really dying to hear and see what that one's all about. Currently our record player needle is broken. I need to replace that and get it fixed, because I tried to fix it on my own. I thought it would be a simple detachment thing. It was a bigger deal than I thought, and so that's broke. And so we haven't been able to use the record player for a little while, but I want to. But typically, in our tradition, what my family and I like to do is whenever we are decorating the Christmas tree, absolutely put on a record. If we can, put on a record. And that usually ends up being Elvis Presley. So the Elvis Presley Christmas is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge Elvis Presley fan. If you remember if you ever got a chance to see the room tour I did about my collection, I got the Elvis Presley books, I have the Elvis Presley movies, and I definitely have a lot of the Elvis Presley music. So Elvis Presley music is usually going on the record player while decorating the Christmas tree. But since the record player isn't working, and years before we had the record player, just used the MP3 hooked up to some kind of speaker type thing, and we'd listen from there, or have the computer going playing the music. So Christmas music, Elvis records, vinyl records is preferred way to go. Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra is also really good. Bing Crosby too. I like them all. I'm a sucker for Christmas music. And then of course the movies. Can't forget the movies. And so I'm going to start with a list of kind of my top 5 that I have to watch every year. And start off with my number 5, the Home Alone movies. I'm going to put them together, 1 and 2. I know there's a bunch of others, but they don't have Macaulay Culkin in them, and I don't think those really count. They're definitely not as fun as the original 2. And these movies are absolutely some of my favorites. Of course, as a kid, what I always enjoyed was the traps, and imagining myself in that situation. Would I be clever enough and smart enough to set those traps up just right? Would I be able to orchestrate the burglar's movements exactly like he did in both movies? So that's amazing. And now as an adult, when I look back and I kind of think of this and like going on a family trip, or anytime we are leaving the house really, and we have our 2 kids and we got to get all this stuff together, my wife and I are bad enough remembering things as it is, but now especially with kids, we're always forgetting something. Fortunately, it hasn't been our kids yet, but it makes it a little more believable to me than it did as a kid, because I'm seeing the way all this goes. And especially when the McAllisters had all that chaos going on at their house and all those people over, I could see it how it could, something like that might happen. And then of course the second one, I like how they knew it probably wasn't going to be as believable if the same thing happened again, and so they played it a little different. They even showed that the mom was concerned, is this going to happen again, is this what's happening? And so they did the switch up at the airport instead of at the house before they left, because they knew that wouldn't be so believable. Of course, one of the brightest points of the second movie is Tim Curry. I love his performance in any movie really, but he adds an extra touch in the second one. And I think the traps might be a little better. I know my wife's favorite part from the second one is where Macaulay Culkin's character, Kevin McAllister, is throwing the bricks off the top of the building and hitting the, is it Marv in the head with the bricks. So we get a pretty good laugh at that. And similar for me, from that one, from the first one, is when the spider is on Marv, or no, the spider's on Harry and Marv is hitting Harry trying to get the spider off. That's one of my favorites. So 5, Home Alone. Gotta watch the Home Alone movies. That's usually a must. So, and then number 4 is Jingle All The Way. I love this movie. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I like him in his comedic roles and his action roles. And so the Jingle All The Way movie is so endearing. And it's not just Arnold, because Sinbad's character in that movie is excellent. Knocks it out of the park. He's that lovable bad guy. I love Sinbad movies. Growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, all the Sinbad movies that have come out. And this one of my favorite parts that my wife and I quote whenever we think of this movie is the part where Sinbad threatens that there's a bomb in his mail package, and all the policemen are there, and so he gets away. He leaves the bomb there and goes and threatens to set it off, and the police comes and, don't worry, I was on the bomb squad for 6 years, and picks it up, and then it explodes, and they show Sinbad when he's running down the hall, and he's like, there really was a bomb in there. There's some sick people in this world. Sick people! Love that part. Quote it all the time. So that movie is awesome. So Jingle All The Way, great one. And the third on my list of must-watch movies for the Christmas season is The Grinch. Primarily, I love them both. I love the original one with Boris Karloff doing the voiceover of the cartoon. That one's my primary have-to-watch. But usually tacked on with that is the Jim Carrey one too, because his performance in that is, I love it. So both those movies are great. The rhyming that they do, the music that's in there, and it just doesn't quite feel like Christmas time unless I watch those movies. And then the second one, number 2 on my list, these are very important to me because I have a deep connection with these from childhood and always catch them on TV. And those are, well, specifically Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but really any of the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. So, but Rudolph is my first go-to. The Bumble, or the Abominable Snowman, Yukon Cornelius searching for gold or silver, never can make up his mind, and the Land of Misfit Toys. I love that movie. I love the art of stop-motion animation, and honestly, it's not done the best in those movies. It's a little bit choppy, but that's okay, because it's still charming and an endearing movie. So, not just Rudolph, I mean, I also like A Year Without Santa Claus, or Santa Claus is Coming in Town, with the Year Without Santa is where they have the Snow Miser and the Heat Miser. And I love their, I'm Mr. Heat Miser, I'm Mr. 101. I love those songs and those little segments there with Heat Miser and Snow Miser. So, love those. All the Rankin Bass stop motion animation, but especially Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And the number 1 Christmas movie that I have to watch at Christmas time is Christmas Vacation. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This one is hilarious. And my wife knows that if we look at each other and we're thinking Christmas movie and we haven't watched this one yet, this has got to be the first one that we put on. My favorite part in this, or whole piece of this, is Eddie, Cousin Eddie, Uncle Eddie, however they call him, played by, oh man, having a brain fart right now, but his character is amazing. He makes that movie. The part where they're in the going through the store and Clark is like talking to him about, hey, you're gonna have enough money for your kids, is there any way I can help you out? And he's like, and the whole time they're talking, he keeps throwing these huge bags of dog food on there, and Clark puts like his light bulbs, and then of course here comes a big bag of dog food, crushes the light bulbs, and Clark, and then Eddie's like, and if it's alright, Clark, I want to get you something real nice, real nice. So all the Eddie parts are brilliant. Love those. And of course the climax when Eddie brings his boss tied with a bow up to Clark's house, and then and before he gets there, the rant that Clark goes on is epic. And when he's just in that crazy state and he walks, has the chainsaw after their tree goes up in flames, and he's walking out and it feels like the banister and that piece is loose and just cuts that piece off. Fix the nil post. I understand his headspace. I understand the headspace being a father, and haven't really hosted anything quite as big as him with all that family there, but I have had family, and it does get chaotic when everyone's around, and you're expected to be the one to kind of make everything flow nicely. And you always have this vision inside your head of how things are supposed to go. Never quite happens just that way, and I think that I identify with that a lot. Of course, even before I was at this level, I love this movie anyway, just because it is hilarious. And so that's my Christmas movies. Now, I got a lot of honorable mentions with that. Going with the stop motion, my love for stop motion animation. Of course, The Nightmare Before Christmas. The movie just does it so well, and is so stylized, and it's just a work of art. So I love that movie, and it's great for both Halloween or Christmas time, either one. I got a bunch up here to go with. Oh, It's a Wonderful Life. That one, I struggled with that one because I wanted to put that one on my list, but I might choose to go with that one over Home Alone sometime if I can only get so many in, because my time is so little now with my work and family and everything else going on. So it might be a Wonderful Life. I love Jimmy Stewart's performance in that movie, and that movie just in general. The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Those are good ones too. Ernest Saves Christmas. That's another one. If I can find the time, I always try to squeeze that one in too. So there we go with the movies. And then a new thing that I'm going to try this year, I'm trying to get back into reading a little bit more. Usually if I read, it's only like science articles or news articles or things like that. So I'm trying to get back into doing some books, and I'm starting in a kind of a funny way because it's like with kids books that like when I was in middle school age type thing. And so one I'm going to try and knock out in like a 30-minute, 45-minute period is this book called The Christmas Tree Ate My Mom, or Mother. Let's see, here it is. The Christmas Tree That Ate My Mother. So I'm going to try and knock this one out. I'm currently like 20 pages left of another one called The Turkey That Ate My Father. So obviously the Thanksgiving one, I'm trying to read that one before I do the Christmas one. I don't have much more to go in that, but it's really that style and everything is really taking me back to when I was a kid, and just helping me get in the mood of this season. So there's my traditions. A new one I'm starting is with the books, but always the music and always the movies, and those are the musts. The musts with the music: Elvis, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby. Gotta listen to those. And then you heard that from top to bottom, my must-watch movie list. So there we go for my traditions, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Media Tsunami.